Hi, my name is Marcy Freeman, and I've been an attorney for 32 years. I practice primarily in Tarrant and Parker counties in north central Texas, and I work for Decker Pool in Fort Worth. And I started making these videos to discuss a variety of family law related issues in the hopes that I would be able to provide you with some information that you can use now and in the future. These videos are not legal advice, and if you have specific legal questions, please consult with an attorney. Today we're going to talk about mediation. And in an earlier blog and video talking about developing an initial strategy, I mentioned that disputes can be resolved in one of two ways. That is, you can either reach an agreement or you can present the issue to the judge and the judge can make a ruling. And today I'm going to talk with you about mediation, what it is, what the purpose is, and give you some general information about how mediation works. Inevitably, when I bring up the topic of mediation and suggest it to my clients, they respond, well, I'll go, but the other side will never ever settle. It will be a complete waste of time. Fortunately, I found that that's really not the case, that probably close to 95% of the cases that I take to mediation, and I think that other attorneys take as well, settle through mediation. So what exactly is mediation? Well, mediation is defined as a means of resolving disputes outside of the judicial system by participating in negotiations structured and conducted under the guidance and supervision of a trained neutral third party, the mediator. So outside the judicial system doesn't mean that there isn't a case filed. What it means is that the mediation doesn't take place in court. One of the most important things about mediation is that it is not a zero-sum game. And by that I mean that one party's gain is not directly equivalent to the other party's loss. One of the things that we can do in mediation is that we can look at what is really important to you and what might not be not so important to you. And we can focus on the things that are important to you. And using this paradigm of give and take, we can reach settlements in situations that appeared hopeless. Mediation is empowering because you and the other party are making decisions about your lives, okay? When you present an issue to a court or to the judge for a ruling, you have lost control because now a third party, namely a judge, is going to make that decision for you. So typically in a mediation, mediation involves everybody kind of getting together and meeting, quote unquote, at the same time at the same place. Today, under COVID, meeting has, it looks a bit different sometimes. We can still meet in person. However, we also have the ability to conduct mediations electronically or virtually through the use of Zoom or Skype or some other similar platform. Typically, most mediations last between 4 and 8 hours, but obviously depending upon the facts of a particular case or the circumstances of that case, they can be shorter or longer. Mediation is not like a trial, okay? At mediation, typically the mediator, the lawyers, and the parties dress comfortably and casually. Food and drinks are available. You have the ability to take breaks. You're not questioned. You're not placed under oath. There's no interrogation going on. I really like for my clients to be relaxed because I want them to be able to make well-reasoned decisions. And it's kind of hard to do that sometimes when you're stressed out and anxious. So after mediation is scheduled, typically what will happen is that everybody will show up either at the lawyer's office or the mediator's office or Zoom, wherever the mediation is going to take place. Sometimes the mediator will talk with the attorneys first, and the purpose of that is to kind of give the mediator kind of a roadmap as to what the issues and the facts are of that particular case. Then the mediator will flow back and forth between the rooms, and typically the parties don't sit in the same rooms, and they don't really even have any kind of communication whatsoever during mediation. So for some people that's very important, and that's usually the way that the mediations are structured. Anyway, the mediator goes back and forth between the rooms, shares information, helps prepare offers, sometimes will communicate those offers to the other side. And through this process and this sharing of ideas, sometimes, frequently, a settlement can be reached. Okay. When a settlement is reached, a written document called a mediated settlement agreement, or MSA, is prepared. That agreement is a Reader's Digest version of the agreement and serves as the basis for the decree or order, which will be entered later. Once everybody signs the MSA, it is binding, it's a contract, and you cannot change your mind, okay? So it's real important that you understand and that you carefully read the MSA before signing it. Additionally, once an MSA is signed, the judge, for the most part, there's always exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, has to enter an order which conforms to the terms of the mediated settlement agreement. So I think it's really important to be very prepared for mediation. And that's true because before we can settle a case, we need information. So in terms of property, I'm going to want to know what property exists, the identity of that property, and I'm also going to want to know what the value of that property is. Okay? Because once we know what property is out there, and we can ascertain a value of that property, then we can start dividing the property. Okay? I like to have spreadsheets and current statements of account handy at mediation. I find that to be very helpful. With respect to your children, I need as much information as possible. I need information from teachers. I need school reports. I need reports from experts, if there are any, information from witnesses. Because child support is an issue, I need to know the income of the obligor, who is the person that pays child support, so that we can calculate child support. I also need to know the cost of any available health and dental insurance. Prior to mediation, I meet with you or with my client to strategize and to develop a plan. And even though we may have a plan going in, I always encourage my client to be open-minded to other possibilities that may be suggested during mediation. So in this particular area of Texas, we're really fortunate to have some outstanding, wonderful, skillful, really smart mediators, many of whom are retired judges. I'm usually able to reach some type of agreement with opposing counsel as to who we should use as a mediator. And I think that sometimes different mediators are good for different kinds of cases and the different personalities that may be involved in a case. But like I said, we've got, some really, really fine mediators in this area. So one of them who I started out mediating many cases with is named Bobby Joe Mann. And Bobby successfully mediated many, many cases for me. And I can remember him telling the parties that courthouses were made for criminal cases and car wrecks. And I think he's absolutely right. When children are involved, many times going to trial does more harm than good for your kids. And for this very reason, most judges require mediation prior to going to trial. So, in addition to the welfare of your children, some other reasons to mediate would be that mediation is less expensive than litigation. Mediation is less stressful than participating in a trial. Orders can be carefully crafted and tailor-made to a particular situation. And sometimes your case can be finalized quite a bit sooner than through a trial. I feel so strongly that mediation is a positive thing and a good way to resolve disputes that many years ago I went down to the University of Texas and completed their mediation training. And I found that training to be very helpful, and I learned a lot. So now when your attorney suggests mediation, you can respond yes enthusiastically and with lots of hope. As usual, please feel free to check out our website at www.deckerpool.com. And I will be back soon. Thanks.